Employees at dealerships are quitting left and right. They can't make enough money selling this overpriced inventory, but even the mechanics can't beat the flat rate clock. Everybody's paid on commission, and customers are tired of dealing with dealerships. But dealerships have never been known to keep employees for a long time. It's a very high turnover situation. Imagine being a salesperson having to sell $300-$400 nitrogen-filled tires and market adjustments and all this stuff. Now, with all this inventory, there's still dealerships doing it today, and you have to go back and forth and play all these games. People are just done with it. And customers are starting to smarten up, and they're actually negotiating, getting discounts, and salespeople are paid 25% front-end gross most of the time. So as soon as you take out of that front-end gross, you're going after their paycheck, and that's the way it has to be. Don't let them make money off of you. And mechanics are paid flat rate, so they're not paid just sitting around salary. So the dealership charges a customer $120 or something crazy per hour, and they might pay the mechanic $20 or $30 an hour, but it's only during the flat rate time, so the book says how much time this job should take, and most of the time they can't beat the clock, especially with how the vehicles are now. They're becoming more complicated and harder to work on, and it just turns into more mistakes, and the clock takes longer, and they get frustrated and they mess up on everything. So a lot of mechanics do not like flat rate, but there's a few of them that can actually beat the clock. But no matter what, it's just a bad process, and the service advisor trying to sell all these extra products, and it's just annoying for even picking up your car from service, because everybody's on commission, from the service advisor to parts to sales, so everybody's kind of annoying to deal with because it's all about maximizing their pockets. Managers and owners of dealership post on social media saying it's actually harder than it used to be. This is not going to be the easy times of 21 to 23. It's getting harder. We have more inventory. People are negotiating. All the sales managers are saying we don't want cashiers, so their salespeople are going to be more aggressive. They're going to call you 35 times. They're going to be annoying as can be, thinking that's actually going to increase sales. It's going to do nothing but turn the sales the opposite way. It doesn't work like that anymore, and a lot of dealerships still operate super old school, so it's annoying for everybody involved, and salespeople are quitting left and right. But imagine if we could buy directly from the manufacturer, but you can't because of franchise laws. It's literally illegal, so these dealerships have to be there. You have to go through the middleman, so it's pretty unfortunate on that standpoint, but we'll see if it changes, because it's not getting any easier for the dealers, and especially the sales associates. People are going online, they're learning. They're even paying companies to negotiate for them. They don't want to deal with the dealership that bad. There's not many other businesses that are like that, where they will literally pay another company so they don't have to deal with you at all. But when you go into a dealership, most of them will lie, cheat, and steal to maximize their profit. And that's the other thing. Most people don't feel sorry about this situation, so they're quitting in droves. People are losing their jobs. They're not hitting quota. Most people, unfortunately, they just don't feel sorry. They're like, you're a sales associate, the dealership closing, it is what it is. They don't feel sorry. Most of the time, it is the greediest dealerships that are struggling. The ones that did the market adjustments, that are still doing the market adjustments, they're the ones that really struggle because they turned away so many customers. So any customer base you had is gone because they said, I'm not coming back there again. The same dealership that does market adjustments has probably a pretty bad service department as well that's going to do all this annoying sales stuff too. It's just non-stop sales, and people are done with it. That's why most people are keeping their car for a longer period of time. You guys know, over 12 years on average. Would rather replace the whole engine and transmission before they bought a new vehicle. And they're probably not going to go to the dealership service department. They're going to find somewhere else that they trust, because it's always an inflated price. It's all about maximizing their profit. You guys know. And some dealerships are starting to learn they have to go back to volume based. They got to get away from gross. Gross is where they make as much money as they can per individual vehicle. With a volume base, they try to sell as many cars up front. Even if they have to take a loss, they can make it up in the back and eventually in service. But over the last few years, inventory levels dropped super low and their lots were empty, so they took full advantage and they made all this gross profit per individual vehicle. And so a lot of them can't stop drinking the Kool-Aid, and that's why you still see crazy market adjustments, $500 nitrogen-filled tires, $10,000 market adjustments. I mean, we still see that rarely still today with all the inventory on the lot, so it makes no sense at all. And it's real funny when they add those Black Widow Spider packages or Harley Davidson. We've seen all different kinds of packages they add, the wheels, lift, and tires. Imagine being the salesperson on the other side of that one. You're going to know how bad you're screwing that person over. They're literally going to be stuck upside down so far, especially if they're not putting a huge down payment. I mean, it's like $20,000 or $30,000 of add-ons. And when you go to resell it, those add-ons are basically worthless. So people are done with it. The whole process of a dealership being old school sales, pushy sales, people are tired of it. They just want to buy a vehicle, but they don't want to buy it from a traditional dealership and go through the finance box and get jumped around and talk to your manager and call me 55 times. They're done with it and they're tired of it. That's why the United States sold less cars than they did in 2016, but there's a whole lot more salespeople and there's a lot more dealerships. But they're selling less volume, which means less salespeople are going to be here, and they're quitting left and right because so many of them got in the business during 2020, 21, 22 as like a get rich quick. They thought they could make all this money. They said, oh, we're making all this money per vehicle. And yeah, it's not turning out like that anymore. Now they're having to give huge discounts and they're having to negotiate heavy to get their business in. But let me know what you think. I know a lot of salespeople got out of the business. They're just like, they can't deal with it anymore. Let me know what you think. Have a great day and stay blessed.